Hey guys, how are you doing? Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a great week so far. So today I'm going to be doing my list of 5 today, and it's going to be my list of my personal favorite Final Fantasy games. For you guys who don't know, Final Fantasy has been one of my favorite video game series of all time. I first started playing Final Fantasy when I was in middle school, and at that time, there wasn't really a games that I played growing up that really kind of exposed me to such character depth and really complex stories until Final Fantasy. And that kind of spoiled me a lot because one of my criticisms of a lot of modern video games that I play is a lack of story. So, a lack of interesting characters and definitely a lack of length. So, here is my list, like I said, of my 5 favorite games in the franchise. Just so you know, I don't have all the games on me at this time, so I'm just going to spread it out. You guys will probably know what it is. So, number 5 on my list is Final Fantasy XIII, which is the most recent installment in the series. And it's probably the most polarizing of the franchise. But for me, when I played Final Fantasy XIII, it was a much needed improvement from Final Fantasy XII. I have Final Fantasy XII. I liked Final Fantasy XII, but it's just my problem with the game was just that it was so grand and so massive. I know a complaint about an RPG being grand and massive, but the fact is that what was happening was on such a grand scale that the characters and highlighting the characters really suffered. Yeah, this game is too overly linear, but it puts a lot of emphasis on the characters and on the stories, on the 6 main characters, and the characters here are absolutely great. It's definitely one of the best casts in the series. And plus it also has a really awesome battle system, the Paradigm system, which requires everybody to kind of formulate their own unique playstyle and develop for the battle. And it's really easy to use also, which is one of the highlights of the game for me. Now, number 4 on the list is the original Final Fantasy. In the original game, you play as 4 heroes of light, whom you get to name and choose what class they wore between warrior, black mage, monk, red mage, and white mage, and a thief. So 6 classes to choose from. And you have to go fight against the Dark Lord, Chaos. The game is extremely simple. You know, there's hardly any story involved in it. Your characters don't speak. But, and, you know, in terms of story and gameplay, it still kind of is extremely simple. But it still has this really undeniable charm to it that keeps me coming back to the game and playing it again and again. It also just has a lot of fun factor in it. And you'll see in a few weeks, I'll probably post up my review of Vanquish, where I talk about fun factor a decent amount. But the game still has a lot of fun factor, which still makes it being able to hold up in this day and age of modern gaming. So naming the character, what's also so great about it, what kind of adds to the fun of it, is that you get to choose what class you want your characters to be. You can also name what you want your characters to be. So like me this time, my recent playthrough, I named my party after me, myself, and a few friends. And this kind of player, involvement from a game, that requires you to do this, it kind of makes you more, I guess for lack of a better word, emotionally attached to what story there is, but it definitely makes you makes you feel more connected and a lot more involved. So, number 3 of my favorite Final Fantasy games is Final Fantasy VIII. Again, this is another one that tends to really polarize a lot of fans and a lot of people, a lot of gamers in the series. But Final Fantasy is one of my favorites because, not only does it tell the story from 2 unique perspectives in terms of Squall and Laguna, but, it combines that with, a really highly unique form of character customization with the junction system. A lot of people had criticism about the junction system, but I enjoy any form that really allows you to go in depth with customizing how you want to play and what you want your strategies to be and how you want each individual character to play out, what do you want their strengths to be, what you want them to focus on. And the junction system covers that. And it's really awesome that it focuses on that. And, and it has a much, like, the same thing, similar with Final Fantasy XIII, it's a much more personal story. The story isn't as grand or as epic as the other stories are. Yes, you still have to save the world from some unspeakable evil, but it's a much more personal story where the emphasis is not so much on the plot itself, but on the characters and their character development. And also, what makes the game just absolutely great is a fantastic score by Nobuo Uematsu. This is probably, in my opinion, behind Final Fantasy VII as his best score ever. Like, it's really, like, plus with the amazing song Eyes on Me, the song is just, the soundtrack also, like, helps add the tone to the game. So, number 2 of Final Fantasy video games is Final Fantasy VII, which is considered by many to be the magnum opus of the series. Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite games because this is a game that exposed me to Final Fantasy. Yes, I grew up watching friends play Final Fantasy. Like, I saw my friends playing Final Fantasy X, and that's what got me into it first. But the first Final Fantasy game I actually picked up myself was Final Fantasy VII. And for me, I was in middle school when I started playing Final Fantasy, and the amount of character depth and the tragic death that happens towards the beginning of the game. I'm not going to spoil it for any of you guys who haven't played Final Fantasy at all. But this is things that were kind of really new to me when I was still going through those phases, and really kind of exposed me to really deep characters, really complex stories, really, it's a really, this is the game that kind of exposed me to all that, and for that it always has a soft, always has a place in my heart, I guess, and because it introduced me to that, this complex form of storytelling found in video games. So, number 1 for my favorite Final Fantasy video games of all time was Final Fantasy X. To me, Final Fantasy X is not only my personal favorite of the series, but also, in my opinion, the best Final Fantasy game. It took the concept of the whole turn-based RPG combat, added a new layer of depth and strategy, and it offered an amazing story that had something in it for everybody. It had action, it had comedy, it had romance, it had betrayal, it had heartbreak, it had everything. And it's a perfect story, it has something in it for everybody. And also what made the game so great also was the fact is that it had this probably the best cast in the entire series. Each member of the party was a little bit different from one another, but was always different. You had Tidus, who was constantly energetic, constantly happy. You had Wakka, who was always chillaxed. Lulu, very cold, very serious. Riku, very happy-go-lucky. Yuna, very serious, that naive. Kimari, the strong silent type. Auron, the mentor figure. I'm probably forgetting someone in that list, but what just made the game so, and with all these characters with the different personality types, they complemented each other really well, and as a result, the cast had a really kind of cool, really tight chemistry together. And it was just amazing to just watch these characters grow and develop, because you really feel attached to these characters because they're going on this journey. And it's just, that's for me, that was the biggest thing that sold me as Final Fantasy X. For me, it's the perfect Final Fantasy and the best one to date. So that's pretty much it. That's my list for today. To go over again, the list is from 5 to number 1 is Final Fantasy XIII, the original Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy VII, and Final Fantasy X. Now, I want to know what you guys think. What is your favorite? If you guys have played Final Fantasy, what is your favorite Final Fantasy? Just leave your comments or interesting responses in the comments below. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. If I can post a third video of the week, I will. Then again, you know me, it's not really a guarantee that I do 3 videos a week. And if I do, it's extremely rare. So, again, I'll try to do one if I can. If I can't, I'm sorry. But, yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.